Okay, guys, back at it. Hard to Kill, episode 53. Today, we are blessed. I can't tell you how happy I am to have this individual. Used to be very, very close in MP company.
Yeah,
This,
man.
this, the Sultan, the SWAT, the Colossus of Clout,
Oh, dude, come on.
aka NyQuil himself, the Holy Spirit with us tonight,
No,
Bo
dude.
Kilgore. How we doing,
Oh
brother?
man, dude, I'm doing great. Nick, great to see you, man. And Doc, nice to meet you.
Chris, this is
Yeah,
Bo.
Hey,
This
bro.
is
nice to meet you,
Kilgore.
brother.
So,
Yeah, you too, man.
yeah, Chris was a combat replacement for us. We had a doc go down, and Chris had
Got
some
you.
big shoes to fill, and he did the damn thing. So I thought he'd be
Awesome,
perfect
dude.
to talk with us. Now, Chris,
Very cool.
Bo was a staple of MP company. There was like a group of 10 to 15 like OGs that really, was the glue that held MP company together. It was like the NCOs that really,
Yeah,
kept the tradition and really set the standard for the field guys in MP company. And yeah, I gotta say, Mr. Kilgore himself was definitely someone that paved the way. And I'm absolutely honored to host him here tonight because he's definitely the
Thanks,
type
dude.
of leader, the type of NCO that Hard to Kill wants to promote. And not only that, he has a
Thanks, man.
phenomenal
yeah,
success story
absolutely.
that really shows the pitfalls and the highs of
Yeah.
coming out of the military and making something out of himself. And yeah, so I'll get off my soapbox, brother. Introduce yourself a
No,
little
you're
bit.
good, man. Yeah, so everybody's called me Bo my whole life, man. My name's actually James. I'm the third, but everybody just calls me Bo. I don't know if that's a Texas thing or what, man. But yeah, I'm from Houston. I'm
I was gonna say
34.
where.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You gonna say where did the bow come
I was
from?
like,
I don't
you're
know,
not.
dude. So my dad, James II, everybody called him Jimbo growing up. And when I was born, they dropped the bow off of Jimbo, gave it to me, and now he's just Jim. So I don't know, man. Nobody calls me James. I'm
There you
just
go.
I'm just Bo. Yeah. But yeah, I'm
Yeah,
34. I'm married. I have 3 kids. I got 2 daughters,
Three
one
kids.
son.
Jeez, buddy. Good for
Yeah,
you,
man.
man.
Yeah. That it's crazy.
yeah.
Fatherhood is nuts, man, but
Now
it's
it's it's
awesome.
it's two girls and one son.
Yeah, that's right. I got a 9-year-old daughter, 2.5-year-old daughter, and my son is 9 months old, man. Just had the
Gotcha.
baby boy.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I
Nice,
know I
dude.
know that put a
Congrats.
smile on your face,
Yeah.
buddy.
For sure. And maybe we're done. I think so. Just end it with the boy and that's
Yeah.
it, man. Just call it quits. We'll see.
Dude, just seeing your smile just
Yeah.
just brings me back to so many situations. Like I I've been
Oh,
in
dude.
a lot of situations with just some of the things that you get into with like your core of five friends, dude. Kilgore was always just there, and he was always just someone you could count on, no matter what. You were never afraid of him ratting you out. You were never scared of him folding or ever
Bro,
just worried about him. He was always just solid, and you just need that as in a group, especially with young Marines. But
dude, some of the stories that we share, they're like staples of mine, dude. I
do you
tell
ever
these
think of him,
stories
dude? Like
oh,
now, dude, because you're
all the
always just
time.
there, and I always tell my stories, and I'm always just like, Kilgore was there, and
Well, when you said it, man, when
Yeah,
you started talking about MP Company and how there was this kind of solid core. Now, when I first got to MP Company, there was like 60 dudes, man. It was brand new company, just got set up. We didn't even have a CO. It was just first sergeant
brother,
and
brother,
gunnery
before
sergeant
listen,
Cobb.
listen, MP
Oh,
Company
oh,
is a great story, and
yeah, yeah.
I know we
If I get into it now, it's going to be all
like
night,
that's what
bro.
I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah,
So I know everyone brags about the companies they're in, and they all talk this
yeah,
talk,
yeah.
but I need to really articulate what it
Yes,
was so people
yeah,
can
for
really
sure.
understand. So let's start. Let's start you coming up as a kid, man. Tell us what it was
boot camp.
like, and,
Yeah.
and tell
Yeah,
us how the military came into the picture.
Oh, dude. All right. Well, so I grew up. My father's a pastor. My grandfather was a pastor before him. My great grandfather, really, man, on both sides of my family, my mom's and my dad's. It's like 5 generations of people, strong Christian faith, and very committed to a local church. And that's how I grew up, dude. I grew up very much. The truth is, I grew up kind of in this bubble where I went to this church. My dad was the pastor. My grandfather was the bishop. We had a private Christian school. And man, that was like my whole world, my whole life growing up in this context of church, Christian school, chapel. And I'm very thankful for it. But growing up, it definitely, I feel like it definitely limited kind of my scope or my view of how big the world was, and my parents are awesome. My family's awesome. I'm now a pastor at the church that I grew up in, but I think when I graduated high school, there was just this feeling like, man, I got to get out of here.
Yeah,
like I'm going stir crazy, man.
At a young age, that's
bro.
Yeah.
And I didn't, Nick, you and I we've got some stories that we're going to get into, but even in high school, man, I just had this like rebellious streak in me of like, I'm going to do what I want. I don't care what anybody tells me. I know best. And, I think that just manifested finally when I graduated, joined the military. Man, I was obsessed with the Marine Corps, man. I became obsessed with the Marine Corps like in 8th grade. I can't even tell you why.
Now, do you have a military background in your family? Or are you like the black sheep with that?
Yeah, I'm kind of the wild card there.
Same here.
On my dad's side, I don't have any family members that I know of anyway that served in the military. On my mom's side, I had a first cousin that was a Marine, and he enlisted in like 99 or 2000. But anyway, he was there, invasion of Iraq, and he was early on in Iraq. And so when it came time to enlist, I talked with him a bunch, but we weren't super close. He's quite a bit older than me. So no, there's not a lot of family members. I had some uncles that were drafted during the Vietnam era into the Army, but no, as far as like family members that I'm real close with, no, there wasn't that kind of influence. But you know what was unique, man, is when I was growing up, playing sports and everything at school, there was like 3 or 4 of my friends whose dads were all Marines, and none of them served together, but like playing baseball, traveling on the road, those dads would travel with us, and like being around them and just seeing the camaraderie that they had. They all came from different generations of serving. They all had different MOSs. Like nothing really connected them except for being in the Marine Corps. And I thought that was really, really special, really cool. So I don't know, dude. I think early on I just got exposed to a little bit of something. I was like, dude, Marines are awesome. I'm gonna freaking join the Marine Corps, and I was all about it, dude.
Okay. So,
nice. So
you got something, Doc?
Sorry, Nick.
No, go ahead.
No, it's just I wanted to get, if you're done on your end there, Nick. So when did you join boot camp then, and how'd that go?
I graduated high school in 2007, and funny enough, so since I don't have like any military influence in my family, and I told you kind of what my family dynamics look like. My parents just were very distraught at the prospect of me enlisting in the Marine Corps.
Did you just kind of come out of the blue with it? And
no, they knew, man. Because when I was growing up in high school, I was buying the posters, bro. Like buying the Marine Corps posters, hanging them in my room, watching all the moto videos. I was going to the recruiter's office when I was like 16. They were like, "Hey, you're too young. Like, get out of here." And I talked to my parents about it, and to kind of appease them, I went to a semester of college. And while I was in college, I joined Army ROTC. I actually wound up enlisting in the Army Reserve. This is a funny story, bro. I wound up enlisting in the Army Reserve while I was going to college. And I started thinking like, okay, you know what? I'm not going to go in the Marine Corps active duty. I'll do this. I'll join the Army Reserve. I'll do the ROTC program. And after my first semester, I'm like, this ain't for me, dude.
No.
This ain't for me. I went to a few functions. I'm like, no, this just ain't it, man. And I was supposed to leave for boot camp like in November of 2007. I just ghosted my Army recruiter, dude. I just ghosted her. And I didn't realize this. When you enlist in the Army Reserve, like it's different than when you like dep in. Like I wound up on a unit's roster, and to get out of that obligation, I actually had to get a DD 214 from the Army. It's so weird. Now, like when I go to the VA and stuff, I have 2 DD 214s.
Really?
I got like one from the Army for like 9 months of service or something, and I have my Marine Corps.
That's
Anyway,
strange.
so I dipped out of the Army, and I went to a Marine recruiter. Yeah, went to a Marine recruiter, and there was this master sergeant in there who, when he kind of got the full scoop of my Army situation, he's like, "Oh, dude, how do we know you're not going to change your mind on us?" I'm like, "No, it's not like that." So anyway, they thought I was high risk because I bailed on the Army. So when I dipped in, I was in boot camp like 2 weeks later. They did not waste any time, bro.
Oh, they shut you.
They didn't want me to like wait around and change my mind. I'm like, bro, like anyway, it wasn't the same. You know, my feelings for the Marine Corps were not the same as when I enlisted in the Army. But anyway, so I shipped out to boot camp, man, March of 2008, and then it's just a whole culture shock.
So we always ask for one solid boot camp story, dude. Something that's
one good story
drilled into the brain. We all have them.
Oh man, well I'll tell you this: when I was getting off
West
the
Coast,
bus,
correct?
I did. I went to where the I was going to say where the men become Marines.
It's always
I don't
this,
know if
dude,
that's
with the hills.
I don't know if it's the
mountains.
same anymore. Yeah, dude, I went to the best coast over there.
There we go.
Yeah. So funny story, man. I showed up to MCRD San Diego. You know, you get the whole spiel on the bus, dudes yelling at you about the yellow footprints.
I was shitting bricks at that point, dude.
Oh yeah. Couldn't understand a thing the guy's saying.
They do a good like shock and awe with that, dude. You can tell they've been doing it for a while. You know what I mean?
Yep. And the dude that came on my bus had an eye patch, bro. The drill instructor was wearing an eye patch, bro. So not only could I not understand what he was saying, he looked like a pirate.
Take your eyes.
Bro, he looked like a pirate, bro. I'm just like, this is crazy. I'm like in another planet.
Perfect.
And I fell getting off the bus, Nick. Getting off the bus. I'm like focused. I'm going to these yellow footprints, and my foot goes between the bus and the curb, and I just eat it, dude. So that was my first experience stepping off the bus at MCRD. I just fell flat on my face.
Outstanding.
I got right back up though, bro.
Hey, that's the way to do it,
baby. I got all
those
footprints.
Yep.
Yeah, dude. Man, but the craziest story, because people always ask about boot camp, and it's such a weird dynamic, dude. Boot camp is because
you're so wet behind the ears, dude. You don't really have that attitude yet. You don't have any expectations. You don't know what the fuck is gonna happen. So
it's a culture shock, dude. It's a culture shock, and I think whenever you're going in, you're such a boot. You're like convinced. Oh yeah, I'm gonna go 12 weeks of boot camp, and I'm gonna learn how to be a killer. They're gonna just make me a savage. No, they're gonna like make you take your sheets off your bed 1,000,000 times a day. You know,
for real.
So I think the thing that like the craziest story for me is this moment where our senior drill instructor, I think, bro, my senior was like going through a divorce or something. We were when I was going through. So he was ticked all the time.
So he was in a really good mood.
Oh, dude, you know how you're supposed to have senior drill instructor time where they're like, if you got any issues or something, come talk to me. His thing every night was just he'd yell at the platoon. He'd say, if any of you guys have worse problems than me, then you can come talk to me. And I was like, all right, nobody's going to the senior drill instructor, bro. So one day he's just smoking us, we're dumping our foot lockers out. We're making the bed, tearing the sheets off. We're getting one of our sandals, throwing it in the sink room, other sandal, throwing it in the shower room, taking the beds apart, putting the mattresses in the back, like all this stuff. It's just nuts, dude. And then, the worst part was we just got back from PT. I'm sweaty. I'm nasty. I'm covered in sand. And he's like telling us, take our shirts off, take our PT shorts off. Yep. Well, eventually we're standing there in our tidy whities.
Yep.
He's like, all right, take those off too. So we're they're butt naked, bro.
Twigs and berries out.
Yeah, dude, just butt naked. And we had to throw our disgusting PT clothes and underwear in the middle of the drill instructor highway, whatever, middle of the squad bed. Did they make you
wagon wheel it?
Oh, bro, we threw the clothes and stuff, and the kill hat, drill hat come through and kick everything up. Usually, Nick, when they're messing with you like that, and you gotta like throw your shoes or something stupid, you kind of throw them and you're like, all right, that's mine
right
right
over there.
Yeah, that's mine. Like,
yeah,
bro, the kill hat, drill hat, they're going through. They're just
scrambled it all up.
So then, senior gives us like 20, 30 seconds to get dressed. And I'm like at the last freaking bunk. And I want, dude, this was the moment for me that like desensitized me because I'm like, this is so stupid, man. Like, I haven't learned how to shoot a gun. I haven't learned how to fight. Like, I'm just doing stupid stuff every day, all day. I was the last dude to come up and get a pair of underwear, a shirt, and bro, the pair of skivvies I got had yellow stain on the front, brown stain on the back. I had to put those things on. I had to put on some shorts that weren't mine, a shirt that wasn't mine, 2 shoes that were opposite sizes. And you write your name on everything. My those underwear, I wore the rest of the day, bro. And they were like they were like the fat bodies clothes in the platoon. The guy that was stealing peanut butter, the guy that's just everybody knows like you're not gonna make it, bro.
Yep.
And now like I walked around the rest of the day wearing somebody else's dirty underwear, bro. And it did something to me mentally. I just like from that moment on, like I was like a zombie, bro. I'm like, this can't be real. I like mentally had to escape that. But anyway, that's the thing. You tell people that about boot camp and they're like, what? Dude?
Ew.
Like, that doesn't.
But they don't understand what that does for you, dude. And at the time you don't either because you get aggy about it and you don't realize what they're putting you through. And also at that time, you always have those 1s and 2s that don't understand that this is a game. And they're like, come on, guys, let's just get it together. Come on, guys. You know what I mean?
Oh, dude. I think I chokeslammed one of those kids one time.
I bet you did.
But that's exactly right. I think this is, there's a couple things I tell people all the time that when they ask me like, oh, are you glad you served? Like, what did you learn? I'm like, look, the Marine Corps taught me 2 things very well. They taught me how to sleep anywhere. Like when I was in the Marine Corps, I learned how to sleep anywhere. I'll sleep in the back of the truck, like laying on 5 other dudes or dudes on top of me, like whatever. Or I'll sleep on the rocks, I'll sleep outside when it's cold. I can sleep anywhere. And the other thing is Marine Corps just taught you how to be miserable.
Yeah.
Just how to be miserable. And that was, those stories of just the weird things that happen at boot camp, just the repetitiveness and like, it doesn't make any sense. It's just like it wears you down mentally, but it just trains you to be miserable, man. Just how to endure the misery. And
I understand that completely. When you say train you to be miserable, you're meaning be comfortable in a miserable state and not show it and just really pack it in and just have that poker face. And I can understand that completely, bro.
Absolutely.
It's that phrase, embrace the suck. I think it just goes in that. It's like, because when you learn how to like thrive in your misery, like when you learn it, you get in a miserable situation, miserable environment, which the Marine Corps is known to, on deployment or something, it's going to suck. But you know what? It's almost like they brainwash you to where you want that.
It's
like
weird,
you're just like the worse it is, the better. Like
it's not real. It's not real unless it's that bad.
Yeah, dude. Like I remember when and I'll get to this, but I remember when we got to when I deployed and when we finally got to our patrol base and everything, I'm like, there's no running water. We got this generator that works sometimes. I gotta poop in a ammo box, with a wag bag and burn it every day. I'm like, this is it, man. Like I'm out here, I'm not on the fob, I'm not on some base in the AC, and it's like you want that environment that you can just
the ultimate test to a certain degree,
Yeah.
But, okay, so we bang out boot camp. We get through MCTs, the SOIs, the job schools, and we finally get to the fleet. Now, where was the first stop for you?
Dude, I got selected to go to HMX-1.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah, man. Right out of the schoolhouse. Oh, dude. So HMX-1, Marine 1 helicopter squadron. So military police do security for Marine 1. And, a group of them came to the schoolhouse, MP school, and they were basically looking for young Marines that they knew would pass a top secret security clearance. And me, little good Bo Kilgore growing up in his Christian school, never got into any trouble, like I'm a shoo-in, bro, like easy background check. I went to the same school my whole life, same people my whole life. Like it was easy. So I got selected to do that duty, and so get stationed in Quantico, Virginia. First of all, I loved Quantico. Being stationed in Quantico was awesome. I loved the Virginia, the area I was in. I
Love the
loved
area
the
too,
yeah,
dude.
dude,
Yeah.
loved it. Close to DC,
Yep.
pop up there and do some cool stuff.
Yep.
But the unit was awful, bro.
Oh, was it?
Unit was super toxic. It was
Nitpicky on everything.
dude, it wasn't even like the nitpicky stuff. What it was, I think, is when you get selected to go to that unit as a junior Marine, like you're there for your entire enlistment. Like if you get picked out of the
Oh,
schoolhouse, you have to be
gotcha.
there your entire enlistment usually.
Ew,
And
ew.
then
Oh,
like
that's
the
right. You
staff
told me that it was very
NCOs.
hard to leave, right? That's
Oh,
right.
dude. And then the staff NCOs and officers, it's almost like a B billet. It's like something that's going to look really good on the resume. So what you have is this NCO culture where it's just these guys, these corporals and sergeants. They came up through the ranks in the same duty station, doing the same stuff, hating life, and they just want to make life miserable, dude. They're disgruntled, so everybody else has to be disgruntled. The staff
Yeah, just
NCOs,
salty.
officers, yeah, they're just salty about life. And there was a lot of toxic stuff happening in that unit. I had the opportunity to leave. Had some shady stuff happen between me and one of my NCOs, and they actually gave me the opportunity to PCS to Okinawa. That was right after MP Company got stood up. So I was in Quantico for 2 years, and I PCS to Okinawa
Real
in
quick, I
2010.
have a food question. Being
Yeah.
in that area, were you hip to chicken wings and mambo sauce or Peruvian chicken? What was your
No,
go-to
bro.
food out there, bro? Did you go out
Dude,
at all?
bro,
Adams Morgan.
nothing. Oh, I definitely went to Adams
Yeah.
Morgan. Yeah, for sure, for sure. But like, I think when I got to Quantico, that's when I got big. I got with these. I made good friends with these guys, Dan Mershon, Chris Vogt, Justin Vogt, and I. That's where I picked up my love for the gym, dude.
Oh,
So
there we
I would,
go.
yeah. I was trying to eat good, and these guys kept a pretty tight schedule,
Gotcha.
or tight regimen. So now I wasn't going out too. Honestly, I didn't go off base too much. I
Gotcha.
love going out to like sightseeing stuff, but as far as like I was young. I was 19,
Now
20, so I wasn't
HMX
going to be
is
able to do
on
anything.
Quantico, Maine.
Yeah.
I have no idea where that is, and I've been on Quantico.
No, it's well, dude, it's been so long. Well, it's like if you're going towards TBS.
Okay, gotcha.
But yeah, if you're going towards no, if you're not TBS, if you're going towards OCS, I don't know, wherever their barracks are where the officers are training, you have to pass HMX
Gotcha.
headquarters right there. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
So
dude.
we get over to Oki.
Yeah.
What do you
So
think right off the bat?
well, because of the culture of the unit that I was coming from in Quantico, I was hating life, dude. I was Lance Corporal. I was the Lance Corporal that was counting down the days to EAS. Hated the Marine Corps, hated everybody,
Of
hated
course.
everything. And then I got to
Real quick. That's something I want to
yeah.
talk about. Now, do you think that's a leadership thing, or do you think that's just because I remember that, dude. I remember. So my first duty station was PMO, and I had the same thing. You get there, and you just have that salty Lance Corporal that never got to do anything, that got in the Marine Corps wanting to deploy and do things, and they get to their first
Yeah,
duty station, they realize that's not a reality, and it kind of bleeds
bro.
down into you. You go in so motivated, and then you realize it's not going to be like that probably.
Yeah, it's 100% leadership. 100%. If you
I
are
agree, man.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a junior guy, whatever branch, if you're a junior guy and you wind up getting into a unit and you get sucked into that crowd that's just disgruntled and they're finding a reason to be mad about everything and they're disrespectful towards everybody
Yeah.
and they're lazy, they're sloppy, they're unhealthy, like that's gonna be your mentality.
Yeah,
And I
exactly.
think if you have an unhealthy NCO culture, then I think all of your junior enlisted ranks, if you got unhealthy NCOs, man, your junior enlisted ranks are going to be just turds,
Absolutely.
man.
You can't avoid it.
No,
It's
and dude,
inevitable.
so yeah, because I was that way too, and then I ended up falling in, thank God, with some great leadership. Actually, my he's a retired senior chief now, but he was my chief, and he's actually came to my house and stayed for a few days, and we hung out, did our thing. If it wasn't for him, I'd never re-enlisted, but I was like, shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, there's leaders like this guy. I was like, I'll keep doing it. I'll keep doing it.
So I definitely think it comes down to leadership, but that's anywhere, dude. Like, honestly, since, my experience even getting out of the Marine Corps is like, if you have good leaders in any organization that you're in, if you have good leadership, if you have good people taking care of you and showing you the way, like, you're going to thrive, and it's going to be a great, great environment, man. But coming from Quantico, didn't have great leaders, didn't have a great NCO culture, didn't have a good unit culture. And so, dude, my first 2 weeks on island in Okinawa, I got NJP'd, bro.
Really?
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, I don't know. It was right before you got there, I guess, man.
I vaguely remember this.
Dude, I actually, now that I'm thinking about it, when I was in Quantico, I barely got out of an NJP. Me and my buddy, his name was Jacob. Right? Yeah, dude. His name was Jacob Blazer. And he and I had bikes, and we were off base riding, and dude, we were going like, well, we got pulled over. We were going 108 in a 55 and should have gone to jail in Virginia. It's reckless driving. Should have gone to jail. But instead, this state trooper called our sergeant major, and dude, it was I was standing before a full bird colonel at my NJP hearing, and the colonel, actually, his name was Colonel LaRue. Dude was like a Mustang, he was like a enlisted infantry guy that became a aviator and an officer, and now he's full bird colonel. Yeah, he's a legit guy. He said, "You know what, guys? If I NJP you right now, that means you lose your top secret security clearance, and you can never get it back." He's like, I don't want to do that to you guys. So he gave us he downgraded it to 6105 or whatever, dude. So I had 6105 on my record going over to Oki. And, Libo policy is what it is in Okinawa, man. I'm an E3. I got the red card.
Just explain that a little bit, so for all my listeners. In normal Marine Corps, you can do whatever you want. Weekends, leave, whatever you want. What is it like when you go over to Oki?
Well, that was one big change for me coming from Quantico. Like, I had a vehicle, and you're right. If you're off work and you're not having to do anything stupid, you can go out and do whatever. When you get to Okinawa, because of the dynamics there of being in a foreign country, the reputation of U.S. troops is not always the greatest. Some people are knuckleheads and do stupid stuff, and I get it. And so there's a very strict Libo policy where if you're for us, it was if you're an E3 and below, you can't have a car, or unless you're married, and you can't. You have a red card liberty policy, so that means you have to be back on base by midnight, right?
Yep.
Yeah, you got to be back on base by midnight. And so I get there. I go through the whole, hey, they have a week-long in-dock for the island. And then I get to MP company, and I meet up with my buddy Meehan. You remember Meehan?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, dude. So he came from HMX too. And,
shout out Meehan.
Yeah, dude. He just kind of gave me the inside scoop. He's like, look, all you do is just don't sign out in the logbook. Like, if you don't sign out in the logbook, they don't know you're gone, bro.
So he gave you this, so you can do this, or you can do it the right way.
That's right. That's right. He's like, look, if you don't sign out in the logbook, we just stay out all night.
Outstanding.
And then
there you go, Meehan.
We come back on base at 8 or 9 a.m. And, we just say, we just stepped out to get breakfast or something. So I'm like, yeah, that sounds good, dude. Well, we're out wind up getting in a little scrap, dude.
Oh, okay.
And actually, it was pretty bad, dude. This was, I had been at MP company literally for a week or 2 weeks.
So when you got to MP company, was it already stood up? It was
dude.
What was going on at that point?
Bro, I get to MP company, and like I said, there's 60 guys there. It's a brand new military police company for 3rd Marine Division. We don't have an officer. We don't have a CO. We don't have an XO. We got a salty first sergeant.
That's right.
First Sergeant Helfert.
Yep.
Right? And then we got Gunnery Sergeant Cobb, Gunnery Sergeant Cobb, man. And no officers. And then we got, dude, Gunnery Sergeant Cobb was the man, dude.
Yeah, he was.
And so was First Sergeant, bro. Let me tell you the stories real quick, because like right off the bat, I'm brand new, and right off the bat, I'm just doing my thing, dude. So we're out, and look, we get in a fight, man, and this kid winds up getting knocked out. I don't know what happened, bro.
Sometimes it happens.
It just happened, and
he just fell down. I don't know.
I think I wound up. I don't know, dude. I wound up like getting busted across my eyebrow with like a beer bottle. I'm bleeding everywhere, man. I'm like, my eye is split open. Meehan has like a bunch of toilet paper. He's like trying to stop the bleeding, bro. He's like trying to be my corpsman out there. And like, I'm gushing blood. And like, it's just crazy. We get in this huge fight. I don't know. I hit a guy. He falls down.
Real quick, just so everybody knows, like, listen, we're Marines. We get into bar fights, but there's something about Okinawa that just turns that up a notch. And it's got to be the Libo policy, because realistically, they say, listen, go out, you got to be back by 12. So what that means to Marines is get as drunk as possible, as quickly as possible before you got to go back. And then what happens there, and you go back on base and there's one establishment open, and that's the E Club, which becomes the Gladiator Academy.
Yeah, it's a very unhealthy. I mean, what do they say when you go to Okinawa? You're either going to become an alcoholic or a gym rat. Like, it's a very that's definitely an unhealthy dynamic there, where it's like that's all you can do is either work out or drink, And yeah, so I'm young, I'm dumb, I'm brand new to Okie. I hate the Marine Corps, I hate life.
Yep.
And get in a fight. Dude winds up going to the hospital. I go to the hospital, got to get a bunch of stitches. But there was an undercover, CID, is that what we call it in the Marine Corps?
Oh, yeah.
This gunny, man, he's undercover, sees the whole thing, puts me in handcuffs, gets my Libo card, calls Gunny Cobb, and they take me to the hospital. I get my stitches. Then they take me to PMO holding over in Foster until
so happy you have a story like this, because I do too. Keep going.
I was in the holding cell at Foster. Yep. I'm an MP too. It's like, hey guys, like I'm one of you guys. Like, come on, man. But Gunny Cobb comes, picks me up, doesn't say a word, bro. Does not say a thing. I got stitched up. I have blood all over my clothes, and Gunnery Sergeant Cobb, he's a salty guy. Yeah. Like he'll put hands on you. He'll chew you out. Yeah. Yep. He didn't say a word to me. I'm sitting in his car. He's driving me back to bricks. Yep. Yeah, dude. He's driving me back to Camp Courtney, and I'm just like, okay, when we get there, he's taking me up to the barracks, like the common area in the barracks, and he's just going to beat the crap out of me. Yep. Like, this is it. And when I remember pulling up, the whole company is out in formation, just waiting. Bro, I'm brand new to the unit. The whole company's in formation waiting for me. And then Gunnery Sergeant has me get out. I'm like standing in front of the whole company, bro. Everybody's just looking at me because they know they're about to have a bad day and it's my fault. And so we're in Chuck's the whole day, man.
Chuck's.
Oh, yeah. Chuck's the whole day. NCOs, was it Litchfield, Routson, LeClaire, all those guys, man. They're just destroying everybody's barracks room. They're just destroying everything, flipping mattresses, throwing stuff everywhere. And so then we clean everything up, and they do it all over. It's like back at boot camp, bro.
Yep.
And so I very quickly gained the reputation in the company of, like, first I was the guy everybody hated, but then they started hearing about, like, hey, dude, like he got out there and he knocked this dude out.
Absolutely.
So I don't know. It was a very strange welcoming.
No, you're
MP.
You're the MP goon, dude. Once you get the the dubbing of the company goon, it's a good place to be, because you get a little bit of I don't know how to say it, but people like you. People like you, dude. I don't know how to. You get a little respect.
That's the thing, though, Nick. It's like it's so funny, man, because like I consider myself a nice guy. Like I love having friends, bro. I love
having friends,
having a good time. Like I'm friends with everybody, bro. Yeah. But it's just that time in my life, I think I was I was very young, immature. I was dumb. Mm-hmm. I was pretty unhealthy, and there was just this like streak in me of like, oh yeah, it's fun to get in a fight. It's
Fools will
fun.
do that, bro. I was in the
Yeah.
same place.
Yeah,
Your
for
friends
sure.
egg you on too, dude. It's
Well,
just
yeah, you were
anything.
one of those
Of
guys
course I
one
was,
time.
dude.
We'll get to that. We'll get to
That
that
was a
part.
good one, dude.
Oh yeah.
That's a shocker. I'm surprised.
Yeah, dude.
Nick Cardi was in trouble.
We might as well
Oh, bro.
while we're here, we might as well get right into that. So
Well,
I'm
let
not-
me well
go
let me
ahead.
tell you real quick that after that whole day, that's what I got NJP'd for. But this is how clutch First Sergeant Helfert was, because we didn't have a CO, we didn't have a company commander. I was about to get battalion level NJP'd by Colonel Clemens.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, dude. And First Sergeant Helfert, man, he went and talked to Colonel Clemens, and he's like, "Sir, you know, if you battalion level NJP this Marine, he's going to lose rank, he's going to lose pay." He's like, "Why don't you let us go over to headquarters company and let him be company level NJP'd by the CO over at headquarters company?" And you know, I wound up with 45 days extra duties or something. I didn't lose rank, didn't lose pay.
Oh, they took care of you.
Yeah, I'm telling you, bro, every time
That's
I
awesome.
would get in a scrap, every time I get in a fight and PMO would pick me up, First Sergeant Helfert would come pick me up from the holding cell. And I kid you not, this happened like 3 different times. He'd pick me up and he'd say, "Kilgore, did you win?" I'm like, "Yes, First Sergeant." And he would just put me in his minivan and he'd drive me back to the barracks, dude. And he would just, that was it. I'm like causing mayhem out here at the E Club. I'm like knocking dudes out left and right. And First Sergeant Helfert's just like, "Did you win?" That's all he wanted to know, bro. Looking back at that, it's mind blowing. I'm like,
love
dude,
it.
I should have been
Oh, yeah.
E1 private, like in
Oh,
the
yeah.
brig. And this First Sergeant was just like, "Yeah, dude, Kilgore, good stuff." Like,
So to tell this story properly, we need to talk about deployments first, just to set the tone a little bit. But okay, so yeah, we get out of that mess, dude. And by this time, I'm sure you're getting word that you know, a deployment or two's coming down the pipe. When did you first, you know, get the word that you were going to be, you know, teamed up with the guys that you were with, and what was the mission, or what was the word that you guys getting?
man, so I was on island almost a year before our deployment really, almost a year before the deployment came down pipeline. Dude, I was really hoping I was going to get on with you guys, you and Smith, man.
I wish you did, dude.
Me, you know, it was one of those things where I think I had just gotten like in another fight and I had to go to SACO. I had to go to like the substance abuse course. And so I just got in trouble again. First Sergeant like bailed me out again. And I remember going into Gunnery Sergeant Cobb and being like, "Gunnery Sergeant, like if there's any way that you can put me on the deployment with this team with 2-3, these are the guys I hang with. These are my boys." And nah, I was like, I had like 3 within a few months. I had like 3 big incidents that, you know, so
Still,
they
that would've been
sidelined me for a little
perfect
bit.
you. Yep.
But dude, I wound up deploying with 1st Battalion, 3rd Marines, deploying with Matty White, who I was with Matty in Quantico, man.
Yeah,
like
that's right.
me and
That's right.
it was really awesome. Me and Matty wound up
Good
doing
dude.
basically our whole enlistment together. We were at Quantico together, Oki together, Afghanistan together, and then we finished up at Cherry Point together. So
That was like me with Travis.
man, it was awesome, dude. And so, you know, Matty White, Chris Abram, Mike McCaffrey,
Good
Corey
crew.
Yeager.
Good crew guys,
Yeah,
that's for
dude.
sure.
Just and then Captain Mayhew, or he was First Lieutenant Mayhew.
That's right.
Was
Forgot
our
about that.
XO. He was our officer in charge for the deployment. Picked up captain while we were over there. Staff Sergeant Rod, bro. Staff Sergeant
That's
Rod
right.
was our staff NCOIC.
Damn, you had a good crew.
Yeah, dude, we had a great team. So, you know, whenever that deployment came down, we, you know, learning we're going to go with 1st Battalion, 3rd Marines and do the whole police advisor team. It was exciting, man.
Yeah.
And, you know, you guys were over with 2-3, so we knew it was like same kind of. So, man, we went to Hawaii, linked up with 1-3 in February of 2000 or January 2011. Did some work up there. Went to 29 Palms. Did the whole work up there.
Did they give you like the look when you first got there? Like, who are these?
Yeah, bro.
guys?
Bunch of pogues. Yeah, bro. All these guys. You know, we get, so when our police advisor team formed up, of course, it's all of us stupid Blue Falcon MPs, all these nasty pogues. And then you got the grunts, you got these O3s, you got the truck guys, you got the comms guys. And so first week, we're just kind of getting to know each other.
Yeah.
And, of course, they think it's a joke. All the O3s are just disgruntled. They're like, man, we gotta spend the whole deployment with these MPs of all the MOSs to link up. O3s and MPs is like,
the
but
worst.
I think
once you go through CAX with them, they really start to see that you are.
Dude, that's what I was gonna say, man. Because look, I'm not gonna sit here and act like MPs and O3s get the same training. Obviously not. But one thing that I think they underestimated, and maybe a lot of people do, is when you're field side MP, you get a lot of crew serve weapons training.
Definitely.
So we had a lot of time on the 240, a lot of time on the 50, and we did some tactical stuff too. So when we went to CAX with them and started doing these things, the training and the drills, the patrols and everything, they were like, okay, like you guys aren't completely clueless. And when we went to live fire ranges, they saw that we could handle weapons,
and that's always respected, dude, in that field. Yeah.
So we actually bonded with our O3s really quick. And, it was a cool group, man. Oh, and man, Pena was on that deployment.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Man, I'm trying to like remember the Kirk. Kirk was on that deployment, bro. Like we had a good crew, man.
Yeah, you did.
We had some scrappy guys. That was the other good thing, is like getting linked up with with the O3s. Most of those guys, they're young guys like us, but they'd already been on one or two combat deployments themselves. So, we had a good scrappy crew that knew how to, knew their stuff, knew how to handle weapons. And so we bonded with the O3s pretty quick. And, man, we did the workup, did pre-deployment leave. And then we're headed to Garmster, man, headed to Helmand Province. And, we relieved, I think we relieved 2nd Battalion, 1st Marines. It was 2-1 out there that we. Okay. Yeah. So, man. Yeah. We went out there in March 2011.
When you were over there, did you have like a green on green incident or something like that? One of your A&A guys?
That happened like the week after we left.
Oh shit. Okay.
Like the week after we left, the unit that replaced us was 3-3. And the police advisor team that was at FOB, man, what was the name of the battalion FOB? It was like FOB Delhi, I think. That's where the incident happened. And we had like our police advisor team, I'm sure it happened the same for you guys. Once we got in country, they like broke us up. And so we had some that were in like Alpha Company AO, Bravo Company AO, Weapons Company AO, Charlie Company. So we were like spread out. Like my team, the whole deployment was like 6 guys. It was me, Kirk, Matt White, one of the 03 Lance Corporals, a corpsman, and a staff sergeant. And we were paired with about 20 Afghan police.
See, Chris, I always hear this from other guys that do like this type of mission, but what happened with us must have been so goddamn unique that no one has done it, because when we got there, Bo, we basically, they put us in this dope ass compound. All of us stayed together.
Oh,
basically,
we were tasked
with setting up PBs down these 2 main highways.
Nice, dude.
And they were just like, hey, 4 or 5 guys who wants to volunteer for going out for a couple of weeks with the Afghans to set up this patrol base and do whatever the fuck you want.
That's pretty legit, dude.
It was just such a legit.
Yeah. The way they broke our team up, it was like half of the team stayed intact and stayed at the FOB, but they got the sweetest missions, dude. They got the missions tasked straight from battalion, like it was. So it was Captain Mayhew was leading that team, and Jaeger was on that team. Abram was on that team.
Who was Mayhew's like second?
Snack. I mean, the NCOs that Captain Mayhew had was Sergeant Snack. It was Abram. It was Jaeger, and there was a couple of 03 NCOs that were real legit. I'm having trouble remembering their names now, but so they stayed. That was a pretty big team. They stayed up at the FOB Delhi, and they got the sweet missions all the time. Then a team was at Alpha Company AO, and that was a smaller team. So I started off at Alpha Company's AO with that team. Then I got Then we got split up even smaller. I wound up in Alpha or in a weapons company AO. So we were like 12 down to 6. And so it was a big team of like 20 dudes, and then like 2 teams of like 6 or 8 guys with the rest of the battalion AO. So I wish we would have stayed together like you're talking about, because we had a great dynamic.
Yep.
When they kept splitting us up into these smaller teams, man, it just got, I'll tell you, about halfway through the deployment for me took a turn, because it started off, we had high op tempo, man. We're doing patrols all the time. At one point, we had this rotation where group would do a patrol in the morning, and then another group would do a patrol in the afternoon, and the group that did the patrol in the morning would do a patrol at night. And it's like
would you also have to stand watch? Would you have to stand like a watch too?
Well, the Afghan police would stand like the towers, but we had our own watch for our stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So
same here.
Yeah. Yep.
We'd go out during the day. We'd patrol like 3 to 5 mile radius, and then at night we'd set up these LPOPs trying to figure out where these dudes were crossing like shallow points of Helmand River and stuff, and they'd be crossing. They'd be like groups of 2 to 4, military age guys on motorcycles or in a truck. They have some debt material or have some weapons, ammunition, or they'd be smuggling drugs back, getting so we'd go out at night and set up those LPOPs and, try to figure out where they're moving through. But about halfway through the deployment, they split us up into smaller teams, and we had this staff sergeant join us, and he's the guy that led my team. And he showed up late in the deployment. He was like the battalion SACO guy, like the guy that's like the drug test.
Yeah.
He didn't want to be there. He never wanted to do patrols. He didn't volunteer for any missions. He wanted to lay on his cot all day and play his little Game Boy.
That sucks.
And we were just like, we started just setting up patrols ourselves. Like, we're E4s, like, hey, staff sergeant, like, we're going to do this op with the Afghan police. And he's like, he never wanted to leave the wire, bro. So I hear, you hear about the rest of the team is getting these sweet missions, bro, going after these these HITs, bro, or HVTs, high value targets, doing all this, fun stuff. We're stuck at this little patrol base with a staff sergeant. Only time he wants to leave the wire is go over to weapons company headquarters to use to use the what's the little room with all the computers to get on the internet?
Oh, the M-Dub?
Yeah, bro, the M-Dub.
Yeah, the M-Dub.
Sucks.
So that was about 3 months of like just begging, give us something, man. When we linked up with the rest of the team for some missions, it was like, thank God you guys are here, man. It was rough.
So give us a takeaway from it, man. What's I don't know. I feel like I grew a lot on the deployment, man. I feel like I really changed a lot. What's something that you could take away from it that you could say that, I don't know, as a positive maybe?
I've been fortunate my whole life. I've been able to travel to like different countries. Growing up with my dad and my grandfather, I got to go many places in Europe and in Asia, and going on different missions trips and stuff. And so like being exposed to different cultures. And I think my deployment just wound up being one more of those experiences where it's like getting exposed to this culture that is so drastically different, and witnessing how these people like do life and how they get by, and just so dynamically, drastically different than me. I guess it just helped my perspective grow. Like I told you, growing up, I grew up in kind of a bubble, but like it was one more experience that it gave me a lot of appreciation for what I had.
Love that you just said that.
A lot of appreciation for what I had, where I'm from, and just how blessed I am. But yeah, my deployment, there were aspects of it where, you know how it is, dude. You'll have weeks where nothing happens, weeks where you're just like bored out of your mind. You patrolling, nothing's happening, and then like 30 seconds of something crazy, and then it's it, So
that, and you have high expectations, dude. You get trained so much. You want to imply that. You want to use that, and sometimes those fall short.
And bro, you know that I love to get in a good fight, bro. Like,
Of
so I
course.
think my mindset going in was like, hey, I'm
You
looking
want to be
forward to
tested.
like getting in
Yeah,
a fight. And that never happened, dude. You know, the IED threat's there for everybody, man, especially in Helmand. I think
Yeah.
there was always that
Yeah.
threat. But, you know, we'd take pop shots that
yeah.
would last like 15 seconds. But,
Can
you
never
know,
see where they're
they
coming
didn't,
from,
no,
or
no, they
yeah,
didn't want to fight. And I
exactly.
think where we were at, there was a battalion of Marines that came through in like 2009 and took over from the Brits. And that first Marine battalion that took Garmsir just
Wiped them out.
started at the top and just marched down, bro, and just destroyed anybody and
Yeah.
everything.
Yep.
And they actually, there's a documentary called "To Hell and Back Again." I think
Is it
that's
two
the
four?
maybe it was out of Cali.
Might have been. Yeah.
Oh, I can't remember now, but that
Remember
documentary,
someone came on the show and said they were in Garmshire. I just don't remember who he was with.
Well, that
Garmshire's
was
a
my
really. Oh, go ahead, Doc.
Oh, was that
no, the one.
Nakamura?
Yeah, that was Nakamura. He was a 2-2.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, they were in Go. I'm sure. I think after that, after what Bo's talking about, I think it was after that.
Gotcha.
After they did that push and just like cleared it. Well, cleared it.
Yeah.
Bro, well, you know, I mean, really, you watch that documentary. They literally just started from the top and just pushed the Taliban out. Garmsir is unique, though, man. It's not a busy. It's just farmland, bro. It's like imagine if I don't know. Imagine like in the United States, you got these podunk towns, like just Podunk, Mississippi, little farm
Yeah, I get
town.
you. I get
Like
you.
that's Garmsir, bro. Like there's not any big districts. There's like
Yep.
one market that's a decent size, but when you really go through the district, there's a canal system that feeds these farms, and there's like two or three different crops, and one of the biggest ones is poppy. You know,
Yep.
they grow a bunch of poppy down there, and so you have about 5 or 6 miles of farmland, and then on either side is just desert.
Gotcha.
And so what was happening is north of Garmsir, if I remember right, north of Garmsir is like Lashkargah, Marja, and Sangin
Yep.
Valley.
Yep.
And you know there was some heavy fighting happening in Sangin, and then you know stuff was happening in Marja before. Lashkargah is kind of a bigger city, and then south of Garmsir is Pakistan. And so you know, in my little Lance Corporal, and I got promoted while we were in country, so my little NCO mind, I'm starting to try to figure out what's happening. Well, we were always catching these dudes traveling really light, like I said, 2 to 4 guys at a time. They'd be strapped with AKs and stuff. Sometimes they'd have like DET material, IED material, but sometimes they would have legit bags of like black tar heroin. And so, in my mind, I think they were coming from Pakistan or coming from the South with the weapons, with the bomb making material, all that, trying to get up to Lashkargah and Sangin and Marja.
Yep.
And then as they're coming back through Garmshire, hitting up all these poppy farmers,
Doing a
getting the
drop off and a
marijuana.
pickup. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. And so, you know, when we were doing these LPOPs, I mean, constantly, you know, intercepting those guys, and they didn't want to fight, bro. That's the thing. They didn't want to fight. They were just running guns, running drugs, and we caught a lot of them. But I mean, you know, I think that's what was happening in Garmshire when we were there. And there, every now and then there'd be a tick happen.
Yep.
You know, there's a few guys that got a tick. Matty White was one of them, and it was pretty slow. Every now and then people get, you know, we get shot at. Patrol base, you get shot at night or something. Trucks get shot at as you're driving by. IED threat, but dude, it was pretty low key the whole time.
Huh.
We did get some high value targets while we were there, but yeah, dude, the biggest op I went on, it was crazy. It was such a like. I think about it now, I'm like, dude, we had a whole Charlie company, our sniper platoon. We had like armor out there to roll up on this one compound, and I got tasked
IED making material. Is that what you're looking for?
I don't know. The intel that I got at the time, I was a Lance Corporal. The intel I got was just that there was just known Taliban hold up in this one compound as they were moving through, kind of what I was describing. They were tracking this one group of guys. They were holed up in this compound, and so we stepped off, headed towards this compound. Like, still, it was dark, bro. Sun hadn't come up, and it was like, and this was like the moment for me. I'm walking up with the whole company of Marines, sniper platoon, and the sun's coming up, and they're singing the prayer over the speaker. And I was a saw gunner, bro. So I'm like walking up with my saw. I'm like, okay, dude, like this is it. This might be the only moment, whole deployment, where stuff really happens. And bro, like we bust in this compound, we kick the doors open and stuff, and the dudes are there. There's like 9 of them. They don't fight.
Really?
Don't fight, bro. They got AKs, they got PKMs, and they didn't have any bomb making material, but they did have a lot of drugs.
No shit.
Like I said, they'd already broken it down, dude. It's like there's like these clear garbage bag size, just filled with, like, they'd already broken down like black tar, heroin. It was like brown heroin. So yeah, it was one of those moments where I'm like, man, these dudes, like, why wouldn't they put up a fight? Like, there's 9 of them. They're holed up in this compound. They got the AKs, they got the PKMs. Like, why? But this probably wasn't their job. Like, thinking back, it's like, if these dudes really were just running the drugs and stuff, they probably weren't like the legit fighters, man.
Yeah, probably.
The legit fighters are up in Sangin.
Yeah.
These guys are just the lackeys getting paid.
Yep.
So, yeah, dude.
Yeah, bro. That's tough. I'm sorry, bud.
No,
but
looking back now,
I hear you, dude. I mean, no matter how you want to put it, I mean, we want to go over there and show ourselves, show our merit, dude. We train hard, and you always want to be able to show that and put it to the test. I know that when I did, it was a phenomenal feeling. Not trying to overshadow you or anything, but I know,
no.
I know the type of person you are, and I know that that's definitely what you wanted to do.
Well, definitely as a young and dumb Marine, I was like, dang, I didn't get my car, bro. My friend Nick is gonna have to drive me around everywhere we go. It's like, I don't
have a car.
I don't have a car. I can't drive myself. No, but it was, now looking back, I'm 30. I'm 34, and like now being on the other side of it, it's like I still did my job. Like, I still did what what was asked of me.
Yep.
But I don't have that same, like, I guess that same angst of like, oh, I want to prove myself. You kind of outgrow that, I think, at some point. But I look back at my time in the Marine Corps and my time on deployment, like, I'm glad I did it and I had a good experience. So. Yeah,
I appreciate that. I rock with that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about coming back a little bit, man.
Yeah.
So we get out of Afghanistan, we fly back. What was it like? How was your reception when you came back?
Stupid.
Yeah.
Dude, I tell you, when we first were trying to fly out of Manis Air Force Base, over in Kyrgyzstan or whatever.
Yeah.
We got turned around.
Same here. We did too.
We were going over Russian airspace, and apparently we didn't have the right clearance or something.
Yeah.
And these Russian jets, like, flying beside us, we got turned back around. Yeah. We got to go back to Manis, spend like another night or two, and then finally we went straight back to Okinawa. So we didn't go with 1-3 back to Hawaii. They had the big, 1-3 coming back to Hawaii. They got the big welcome home. I got off of the plane in Oki, and I had a gunny snatch my cover off my head. Don't wear your cover on the flight line. I'm like, bro, like, I am just getting off the plane. I got like 4 bags and a saw, Anyway, we didn't have the welcome home, bro. It was
sucks. Same with
us. We had a high back truck picked us up at the flight line, I guess on Fatima.
Yep.
Drove us to Hanson, dropped us at the barracks, and we just
went back
to sleep. Yeah, I was just back in Okinawa.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that was, I don't know, it was very strange, man. You spend all that time, 7 months in Afghanistan, you get used to a certain way of life, certain mindset, certain tempo, and then all of a sudden you're back in the barracks, and there's booze, and you're making bad decisions, and you're we started getting in fights again. I think that wasn't long after that you and me.
So so we both had kind of I don't know, had come home within like a 3-4 month time span. And I know we were both kind of spun from deployment, and you're still fucking piss hot, ready to fucking go, dude. And I remember we had started early, of course. We had the typical MP party beforehand. The jungle juice was flowing, and
God, dude.
we made the we made the I think we hit the smoke pit first, talked a little shit, and then you make the sludge over to the good old Hanson E Club. And at that time, I think Sean was bouncing there. Winton was bouncing there, so he
Yeah.
was hooking it up, dude.
Yeah.
So I
I
remember,
forgot about that. Yeah.
yeah, I remember we were on one definitely, but these four guys from like the
Those third
officer
recon
club,
guys.
yeah,
No. It was the third recon guys.
gotcha.
Yeah. Because they had gone on deployment with us. They had deployed they deployed at the same time with us, and they linked up with 1-3, but they were in a different AO.
So I remember them just big stick walking, talking shit. No one can
Yeah,
compete,
bro.
And I remember me and you kind of just lock eyes, dude. And that had happened a few times, dude. So you know the look, and it was just like, and and I remember we left. I think we left. We
We were in the
accepted.
parking lot.
Yeah,
We were
we
in the
left. We
parking
were
lot.
walking
Yeah.
out, and somehow
Yeah.
they confronted us, dude. And just wrong
Yeah.
move for them, dude. Wrong move for them.
Well,
And
you remember one of them was a gunny.
yeah, I remember they
It
both.
was
They were,
that's the thing. I think when we were inside, you and I were like, "Why is this gunny
yeah,
here?" But like, this
yeah,
is the E
exactly.
club. This is E5 and below, and there's
Keep in
this
mind that's kind
gunny.
of that's us, dude. We have nothing, okay?
Yeah,
But the
yeah,
E Club,
yeah,
Yeah.
that's ours.
yeah. You can
Okay,
go to the staff NCO club, like,
you know
and not only is he in the E club, he's trying to like pull rank and
that's what I'm
stuff. And it's
saying. You
just
don't
like,
do
dude,
that. You don't do that.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so yeah, they're jaw jacking, and I think one of them actually put their hand on you or something like that.
Well, the
And
gunny was trying to chew me out. The gunny
yeah,
was like trying to, he's trying to put me at parade rest and everything. And I think I just turned and looked at you, and you, like, Nick, you're just like, do it, Kilgore, do it. And as soon as you said that, I just turned around and
dropped the hammer. I cleared
clocked the
out my
bro.
guy. And I remember both of us were cranking, and out of nowhere, Pena
Bro.
comes over, dude, and absolutely kicks somebody in
Bro.
the head. Now, listen, I
Bro.
understand. I understand everyone gets into fights in the Marine Corps, but we had got to a point where this had happened a few times, and we had got down like a way to do it and get out clean. And
Nick,
it
like
was just
I'm getting anxiety just thinking about it, bro. Like, look, this is what you have. This is what you have to understand, Doc. Nick, this is what you have to understand now. Like in my like the context. Like I'm a pastor now. Like this stuff, I think about this time of my life, and it's like I'm so glad it's over. But
it
then when
still
I think,
happened. It
but
still
I know, and I think like thinking about how it happened. Like I'm just like, oh my god, I can't believe, because I'll tell you this. I hit the gunny, and he goes down, and I wrap up some other dude, and we're like slugging it out. And I just remember, I took care of this other guy too. But whenever I got up, I like looked around, bro, and it was like you. I think it was Winton,
Yeah.
Pena. I don't even remember who else, bro. We had like 6 dudes, and I just scanned around. Pena is like kicking somebody's head. I see somebody else like body slamming somebody, and I'm just thinking, oh.
It's just
We're wrecking these dudes
beautiful
right now. And it was like an
violence.
orchestra. It was just like an MP company orchestra of just like.
I wish they had phones back then, dude, just to have just that. I know it's petty, and I know it's it's still, but it's the little things that matter, man. It was just something about being with your boys in that situation and getting everyone's back and making sure everyone gets back okay. Because I remember we got back to the barracks, and the barracks got shut down, and then the
Do you remember how? Do you remember how we got back? You remember who the PMO guy was that showed up?
Vaguely.
Okay, PMO got called. I'm not going to say his name because I don't know. Like,
yeah,
I don't know how.
Of course.
When PMO shows up, the responding MP is a guy that's from our company, bro. That's right. And he knows what's up because we get in fights all the time. And he just tells us, get out of here, go to the barracks, go to your room.
Yeah.
And the gunny that I had hit, his jaws broke, so he can't talk, but he's pointing at me, trying to get our buddy, who's the MP, trying to like, hey, this is the guy.
Those are the guys. Yeah.
And he's like, y'all go, and we ran to the barracks, and then we got locked down. And you remember, I didn't sleep in my room for like a week
No, you
because
didn't.
I was just
You thought they were
PMO
gonna
would
come.
come.
Yeah.
They were coming and interviewing, and I was just like sneaking room to room, like hiding out, bro.
So
Oh
I don't
man.
think I don't know if you know this or not, but I wake up the next morning, I get with Sean, we always go to the same place, the E Club, and get breakfast. I get arrested.
Yeah.
I get arrested.
Oh, I remember that,
Yeah.
dude.
So
Yes.
they arrest me, they bring me to PMO, and I'm in the back of my head, I'm like, fuck. But I got this like
Yeah.
cocky attitude, like, you guys ain't got shit. What do you mean? There's no cameras, nothing. And so they bring me into this like main room, and there's this whiteboard, and it literally, your picture is at the very top
Oh my god.
of a basic like crime ring, dude. It's got you,
Oh
me,
man,
Winton, everyone,
bro.
and we're all just like on the board, like,
Well, we had been picked up by PMO like 4
yeah.
times already, like
That was their crime ring that they were breaking down. Good
oh
times,
man.
man. At the end of the day,
I
dude, come on.
I remember like you could like pull up somebody's like rap sheet. I don't
Yeah.
know how I don't remember what we called it, but like for me, it had like aliases for me, but it also had like known conspirators, like you were listed. You remember Lovett?
Yeah.
Lovett of all people was listed as like one of my partners in crime. I'm like, dude, this guy was just one night trying to help me get out of a fight. He wasn't even fighting.
Didn't he get fucked up?
Anyway,
Didn't he get
dude.
smoked one night? Love it. I
No,
thought he
that was Bice.
yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's
You know
right.
what? A lot of times, man, and the truth is, guys in the service can embellish stories a lot. Like truthfully, like that story and these fights we would get in, like that's the one thing. It's like people, it's hard to believe sometimes
Because everyone thinks you're bullshit.
the stuff we got away with stuff
Absolutely.
that really we
Should
probably
not
should have gone to the brig.
Yeah. We had someone looking out for us, man. That's for real. And I gotta say, I
Oh
look back
man.
at it, and I'm just happy that you were there with me, man. I don't think we
Yeah.
would have made it out if we didn't have each other, man. And I gotta say, I always feel like there's not a lot of people like me, but you're a stand-up individual, and you're someone that can always be trusted
Thanks,
and get
dude.
your back. And I gotta say, I appreciate you, brother. And
Thanks,
I
dude.
know it's
that
petty, and I know it's corny, but these things matter to us, dude. We're men, we're blue-blooded
Yeah.
Americans, and we got to hang on to the little things.
Yeah.
I think what we were talking about earlier about how a lot of times these young guys, any branch, you can get real disgruntled and you can just get stuck in this mindset of life sucks, military sucks, everything sucks, leadership sucks, and you're just counting down the days to get out. So you're not getting better at your job, you're not getting better mentally, physically, and you're just kind of deteriorating in this, this mindset, you're OFP and you're out of regs, but then if you have the right leaders and the right people around you, that's what changed for me. So that's one thing I want to say. Whenever I got to Okinawa, like I said earlier, I showed up hating life, hating the military, hating the Marine Corps. And dude, I left Okinawa like flying high.
I know you
Like
did.
I loved it.
Yeah.
And it was because our NCOs were legit. Like when we first showed up, that first crew of sergeants and corporals were legit. Like they had all been on deployment
I'm
before.
really happy that we got to see that too, because I was in the same mindset you were, dude. I was very disgruntled. I hated everything, but I always heard myths of there was a real Marine Corps out there. There was a real there were real NCOs out there. You just got to go to the right place, and I'm just happy we were blessed to have had that.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's what we really saw, because our NCOs, like, they made sure, first of all, that we were in shape. Like we were PTing. We weren't just going to the gym. Like we were running.
No.
We were doing stupid PT.
Yep.
And they made sure we knew our jobs too. Like they wanted to make sure everybody knew the weapon systems. Yep. Everyone knew the procedures. So they really cared. But then think about this, man. Those same NCOs that would run us into the ground during PT, that would drill us until they knew that we knew our jobs. Then when it came time to be back in the barracks, you could walk into Sergeant Litchfield's room and say, man, this is happening back home. I have this problem. Yeah. Like they were truly mentors.
Yeah.
And it felt like, hey, this is big brother, like they're looking out for you. And then you think about even the officer dynamic. Gunny Cobb was awesome. First Sergeant
Yeah.
Helfert was awesome, but then like Captain Mayhew, bro, legit officer.
I think that
I
that humbleness really goes far with us, dude. Like if you can humble
yeah,
yourself to talk to us as a human being, we want to
yeah,
give you that respect. We want to work hard for
yeah,
you. We want to go that extra mile. So I think
yeah,
that's
for
a part
sure.
of
Yeah.
leadership
Yeah.
that really is a huge
Yeah,
dynamic, and
yeah,
it needs to be talked about more, because if you can
yeah.
humble yourself to get down to that level with someone, they want to go that extra mile for you, and it goes far eventually for you.
Absolutely. I think if you
Yeah.
just as a leader are committed to like training your people and caring for your people, it's going to go a long way. That's what made the difference for me is having leaders that I knew really cared if I knew my job or not, and really cared about me personally, and it just changed everything for me. Now, I went on to finish up in North Carolina. My life after that, I got married to a female Marine, didn't work out, wound up getting a divorce after EAS. We had a child together. And like, I got to this point where really my life just kind of fell apart.
That it's a huge problem, but a lot of us struggle getting out, man. A lot of us, kind of get stuck in that fourth gear, and it's hard to decompress and, plug back into the civilian society. So if you could, tell us a little bit about your process getting out, man.
Yeah. It definitely was difficult.
Would you say there's something that kind of played more of a role in it? For me, a lot of it was the camaraderie. I felt very alone, and I missed that aspect of just having your boys right there.
100%. That's a big part of it is the dynamic. The culture in the military is you're around your friends all the time. I mean, for me, I lived in the barracks my whole enlistment. I was enlisted 5 years. I lived in the barracks, had roommates, and so that dynamic of you're always with your people, and yeah, you missed that for sure. And then for me, it also was feeling like I had lost my purpose. Like I
Big
said,
time. Good one,
when
dude.
it really was when I got to Okinawa, it's like that was I had been in the Marine Corps for 2 years, had a really bad experience, but then coming into a healthy dynamic with healthy leadership and a legit company, dude. Like, you know, we grew to like 100,
Yeah.
120 Marines or something. Like, think about this, Nick. We had everybody had their own kind of their little clique within the company, but there were no outsiders, bro. Like, if you were in MP company, like you were one of the guys. Like you were,
Yep.
there was not like the fringe guys that
Yep.
nobody hung out with. Like even, even the Marines that anywhere else may have been the outcast. Like in MP company, it was, dude,
They were
it's
still
one for
us.
all. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think we
I
finally
came
had
from
meaning.
that.
We finally had meaning, and we finally had that Marine Corps, just everything that we always wanted.
Yeah.
And to just drop out of that, man, it's like, damn, I just found it. I just found, what I've been yearning for, and now
Exactly.
it's kind of gone.
That's a good way to put it. And I think that again, I mean, I'm kind of bringing this up because I think it's very important. Like what you just said of having that feeling of purpose and meaning, it happened because we had good leaders that like they reminded us of that. Like good leadership is going to always keep that at the forefront of your mind of like, hey, this is why we're here. This is why we do what we do. And not to be all moto and everything, like not to be that guy, but they also like made me glad to be a Marine. You know what I mean? Like they made me gung ho about it. It's like we're gonna run to the beach and then dig fighting holes. That
We dog on that kind of like, moto this, moto that, but it's a thing, man.
yeah,
It's a
yeah,
proud thing. We joined the Marines
for
for a
sure,
reason, dude.
bro.
There's a reason you didn't do Army. There's a reason, you didn't do
Yeah.
these other things. But this,
Sorry, Doc. Yeah,
yeah, I know.
yeah.
I mean, Doc, can you kind of understand where we're coming from a little bit? Do you see where,
Yeah.
like, good?
Well, I came in late getting back on here.
We're just
So
talking about the
what was
getting out
the
process,
actual
dude.
premise?
Just talking about how it was
Oh,
kind of
yeah,
tough, and
getting
you
out.
finally get to a
Yeah.
place where you think you found something, and then by the time you have it, it's gone because you're getting out and you're transitioning back into the civilian world, and we're just talking about how that's tough for a lot of people.
Yeah, definitely. So, and like, so Bo, like the only reason I joined the Navy was to be a corpsman and be with the Marines.
Yeah.
So I'll take
Nice.
the Navy jokes all day. I get it.
I got love for the Navy, bro. I do. I still talk to my corpsman all the time, dude. Doc Wise. And I got a good buddy, Navy guy. You know, it's the every branch it's like sibling rivalry, but especially Marine Corps and Navy. You know, I think that's a good team.
Honestly,
man.
Doc, you guys mean a lot to us because at first, like just how like the grunts are wary of us at first, but you show yourself just by being in the suck with us, and that goes a long way,
Bro.
you know. So go ahead,
my corpsman showed up. He was a hospital corpsman somewhere in California. The dude showed up. I don't know if he'd ever been on a field op, man. And by the end of the deployment, this guy is he's on the gun, bro. He's on the 240. Like he's doing whatever he needs to do. So a lot of respect. He showed up, he jumped right in. And yeah, I got a lot of love for the Navy, a lot of love for the corpsmen for sure, man.
Yeah. Thanks, man. But no, so Nick, yeah, like transferring, like getting out, man. Like I had a rough go at it, like really, really bad. Like I've talked about it on the podcast before, so I don't want to like repeat myself too much. But I was in a bad marriage. I mean, surprise.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh hey,
yeah,
let's get married right before I go to Afghanistan. We'll see how it turns out. But yeah, no, like, and that's what I love about what we're doing here, Nick, is because when we first got out, dude, like we didn't have like, you know, it was frowned upon, like, you know, like asking for help or, you know, like, hey man, maybe I need to talk to someone. You'd get the bad look, you know.
There's that stigma.
And yeah, and now like it's more in the open, and you know with what we're trying to do. I mean, you and well me, now that you let me be on here, just let guys know like, hey, even though it was 10 years ago, you know, I mean, look, so yeah, your life could be a dumpster fire. Don't just shut the lid on it.
Yeah.
You know, you got to put out the fire. And even if you just shut the lid on it and the fire kind of goes out, there's still embers in there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
They're still burnt. Like, instead of just ignoring it, like, because I know me and Nick talked about it. I think he's brought it up a couple of times. Like, after we have these interviews and shit, like, you feel lighter afterwards.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, Bo, just how you were just saying, bro. I can see that. I can see that you're happy, man. Just, and you don't realize it because honestly, dude, we don't talk about, you know, in your circle at home, you don't really have your guys. And so it's kind of weird talking about it to your family or your loved ones because you know, you appreciate them listening, but they can't really. They don't get it like we can.
It's true. I was telling my wife that, man, actually, because I do have a few buddies that I didn't serve with, but they all, like, one of them served in the Navy, two of them are Marines, and we kind of have our own texture. Like these are guys I grew up with, right? So I've known them my whole life, but those are guys that I know they get my experiences, they understand it. And we don't get to talk all the time, but I remember like the last, Marine Corps birthday last year, November 10th, I stayed up like all night, just texting the two Marines in the group, like just talking about different things. And you know, I told my wife one time, because I will tell her stories and stuff and she'll ask me questions, but there's always the disconnect where it's like, she doesn't really understand it. Or even with my parents, my brother, sister, friends, there's always that disconnect. And I've just enjoyed jumping on and just talking, dude, just telling, like reliving stories and just talking about it. You know, for me, jumping on this pod, I'm glad you invited me to. I'm glad we actually finally got to do it. But, you know, I didn't come on here with an agenda or anything. It's like, dude, I just want to talk with you. I want to tell stories, have fun. And yeah, man, I think that's what a lot of guys miss. To get back to what you're talking about when you get out, one of the things you miss so much is that camaraderie. And you miss definitely. Like having that group of guys with you, man. So that was a big part of it for me. Is I wasn't ready to get out. I didn't have a plan. I didn't know what the heck I actually had. I was in the process of re-enlisting, man. I had a whole re-enlistment package put together, my command signed off on it, and it was sitting at the career planner's desk, like he's about to send it off to headquarters Marine Corps, and I'm like, hey, I changed my mind. Like I'm pulled my reenlistment package, and I wind up EASing. But what was crazy is when I pulled my reenlistment package, I put in for the VERP, that early out stuff,
Yep.
whatever. And I got out 2 months earlier than my original EAS date.
Oh, okay.
So I wound up getting out really quick after I decided not to reenlist. Like it was a matter of 2 or 3 months.
Oh, really?
And yeah, I didn't have a plan, dude. And I was very naive. I just thought, I figured out, I'll go to school. And I was married a female Marine. And, I married right when I got back from Afghanistan. There's so much. Look, you mentioned it too, Doc. Like, I'm sure we could each sit here and tell our side of the story and about why it didn't work out. And the truth was, I was just young and dumb. Like, my part of it was I was young and dumb and immature. I wasn't a man. I wasn't mature, and I didn't understand the responsibility just of being a man, And so, yeah, I could say
that takes a lot to say that, man. I can see that you've done a lot of self-reflecting, man, and that's what it takes.
Well,
it takes looking at it 1,000 different ways and being like, oh, this is really what happened, and it's not easy to do, man.
No, I think a big part of any kind of, if you're going to learn something, you have to, anything in life, if you're going to learn a hard lesson, you definitely have to say, okay, like, what is my responsibility? What was my part in the failure of this? And like I said, I could tell you my side of the story, but it doesn't matter. Like, there's ownership here, and the ownership that I take is that I just was really young and stupid, and I wasn't ready for any kind of responsibility. And
exactly. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, man. No, go ahead, Doc.
No, like, so, in my first marriage, was my ex-wife, was she perfect in it? No. Was I? Hell no.
Yeah.
But you learn from your failures. Like, that's how you learn. You could be, straight A student and all that, and you're like, heck yeah, good to go, good to go, good to go. It's when you fail, you're like, okay, shit, what did I do wrong? What do I have to do better? Because when I married my late wife, I was growing up.
Yeah.
And it was just way smoother. But you got to learn from your failures. That's a big thing, And
I think in the context of, like, you EAS, you start to try to move on with your life, and you start having these failures. Like, for me, it was these failures started to stack up against me. Yep. All of a sudden, I'm divorced. I'm a single dad. I'm in debt. I'm paying child support.
Yep.
I'm drinking too much. I'm smoking. I'm dabbling in all this stupid stuff. And I'm like stacking up all of these mistakes. And, the dynamic has shifted. It's no longer that I can go back to the barracks and, like, have a pep talk from the boys and, your problems change too. Like, you're back in the civilian world. Like, you're living real life now, like in the military, as much responsibility as you do have, you're still kind of micromanaged through the process, whatever your job is, man. Like, everything's taken care of for you as far as, like, your food, your shelter, all that. Now you're out on your own and you start making these mistakes. You don't have that same support system. You don't have that same group. So for me, I just started stacking up all of these losses and mistakes.
Yeah.
And dude, my life I got to a point where, it was like 2015. I'd gone through this divorce, and my life was like in shambles. And I had mentioned to you guys before how I grew up, church was a big part of my life. God and faith, big part of my life. Well, from the time I enlisted, I had left all that behind. That about 8 years of my life, I hadn't had any kind of faith or any kind of walk with God or anything. And for me, it took me really hitting rock bottom, where I have all these broken relationships. I'm involved in a lot of things I wish I wouldn't. I shouldn't be involved in these things. Substance abuse, addiction.
Yep.
All these other unhealthy relationships.
Been there too, brother.
Yeah, it's like I started
Same here.
really feeling the weight of the shame that comes along, like with all the failures, you start feeling that shame of like, what am I doing with my life? Like I'm making a lot of mistakes, but I'm like going in a terrible direction. My life is not where I imagined it would be. And that's where I got, dude. I got to that point where I just was full of shame. And I mean, I'll just admit to you, I had a battle with just like, okay, I don't even know if I want to live anymore. I don't know if I
Yeah, of
want to do this. I
course.
don't know if I,
Uh,
it was even hard for me to like at that time of my life, if I would try to go back to the church that I grew up in, that my father was the pastor of, everybody like they would have loved me, embraced me, but it was so hard for me to get over the shame of like, oh, when I walk in there, they're going to see a failure. They're going to see somebody that threw their life away. They're going to see somebody who's divorced and like, they're going to see me for my failures.
yeah.
And it
Yeah.
just got me in this really low place of, I don't want to live another day. And for me, the difference was, and I'm not gonna preach, Nick, I promise. But the difference really was, man, that reactivation of my faith. I had this encounter one morning. I had gone out the night before drinking by myself, bro. I wasn't even like going out with friends. I'm
Yep.
just like, I was on my motorcycle, just like bar hopping by myself. I
Yep.
don't even know how I got home, dude. I should have crashed and burned and became a stain on the road. I wake up the next morning and I'm just still hungover. And bro, I'm laying in bed, and that's one of those moments where I'm like,
Yeah.
I should just kill myself right now.
Yeah.
My life is terrible. I'm crying. I'm like, God, if you're real, help me. Like, I need you, but forgive me, all this stuff. And like, really, in that moment, I had this experience where my life, I still had problems, still had addictions, still had, unhealthy relationships. But something happened in that moment where, like, in my despair, I turned to God, and it just gave me this fire, bro. It just like put this fire back inside of me, like reignited purpose within me. It reignited a purpose within me. And over the next couple of years, I don't want to say I turned my life around, because truthfully, I believe God helped me turn my life around, dude. God helped me, get back on the right path. And I made a lot of changes myself. I left some things behind. I started getting involved with church, serving, getting a veterans community, talking with other veterans, helping other veterans. And then, um, you know, my life now compared to what it looked like then after that moment.
Yeah.
Today, I'm married
Yeah.
to an amazing woman. We got 3 beautiful kids. I serve as a pastor at a church, executive pastor of a church. I get to pastor hundreds of people, multiple locations. I look at my life and I think I don't deserve it. So God's been very good to me. But at the same time, I'm thankful for all the losses. I'm thankful for all the times that I fell, because I think the truth is I was pretty arrogant and I was pretty prideful. And I had this mentality that I knew best. I can figure it out for myself. I don't need help from anybody. And I think it took some encounters with defeat for me to
Yeah.
realize what the reality of life is, to humble me a little bit. But for me, it also brought me back to this place of just recognizing my need for God. And that's where today I give all credit to him for where I'm at, man. I think if that moment had never happened for me, either I would have wound up dead on the side of the road somewhere, or I would have, made the decision just to end it myself. So I'm very thankful. I sit here and talk to you, and I am happy, dude. I'm very happy with my life. I'm very blessed, and I'm very thankful for all those experiences I had that got me here. All the bad ones too. I mean, dude, I'm thankful
Yeah.
to have met you, man. Thankful to met all these guys I served with. A lot of friends, a lot of fun memories, a lot of things I look back on and think, man, I was an idiot. I was a sorry sucker, but
Yeah.
man, God used it all, or it all worked out to get me where I'm at. So
Yeah.
Hey.
Dude, you totally just took one of my questions I was going to ask you.
oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you what led you down the path that you're on now to, becoming a pastor. You just answered all of it. So that's a
Man,
question. Looks.
that was one of those things growing up that everybody just kind of expected me to do. Like I said, my dad, my grandfather, my great grandfather. So like I felt that expectation my whole life. And because I was very arrogant and prideful, I had this mentality of like, oh, this is what you want me to do? Well, guess what? I'm not going to do it. Like I don't care what you like. If you, my dad, like growing up, he jokes about it. He said, I just knew like when you were growing up, if I were to ask you to do something or tell you to do something, I knew you would just do the opposite thing anyway. Like that was just in me for some reason.
Same here.
And, so growing up, I think I always felt like that was like a call for me, but I had to go and like, I guess I had to go on this journey of discovering, that it was actually real and it wasn't just a forced expectation. And so, yeah, I mean, I started, I really consider 2015 the time where I became saved, gave my life to Christ. And I've been on that journey since then. So it's 8 years now. And, I didn't start off my journey to becoming a pastor. It started off, I was working in real estate. I was doing real estate. And then I started serving at the church as much as I could, volunteering, leading groups or whatever. And then getting different opportunities to work like on a part-time basis, not in a pastoral role, but like admin or anything. And then it was in 2020 that we decided to launch a second location. And that's when I pastored that location for a couple of years. And then we launched a third location and I am now the executive pastor. I basically oversee.
Damn, congrats, man.
Thanks, man.
What's the name of it?
Awesome.
It's called Life Church in Houston. Okay. Website's life.cc.
Yeah, plug it real quick.
Yeah, life.cc. I'm actually preaching this Sunday, man. So tune in.
Okay, I will.
Go Facebook, YouTube, just search Life Church HTX.
We'll definitely do that. Awesome.
Yeah. So I'm blessed, dude. I enjoy it. I love what I do because in the executive pastor role, there's a lot that I can bring to the table and apply from military experience because it's logistics, it's putting teams together and things like that. So my role is very much like the nuts and bolts of how we operate, how we run. So I really enjoy that aspect.
I gotta say, Bo, I'm really happy that you found something to fill that void because exactly what you're talking about right now, I went through the same exact thing, and I'm not saying I'm even 100% saved or better, but I know that honestly through this podcast, man, coming out of the Marine Corps, I feel like I lost the meaning. I lost, something that I loved, and it was just kind of gone. And after that, it was really hard for me to plug back into something similar to that and find my calling, if you will, or something that.
It's absolutely true. And if you don't mind, let me expand on that real quick because you look at like sociologists. Have you ever heard of this hierarchy of needs? At the bottom, you got like the need for food and shelter.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, so at the very top of this hierarchy of needs that all of us have is what is called transcendence. And basically that means at the core of who we are as human beings, the greatest need that we could ever have fulfilled is to feel like our lives have made a difference in the world around us. Basically that we've got to this point where our lives become less about us and more about helping and making a difference in others' lives. For a long time, sociologists thought that the highest need you could have fulfilled is just like the pinnacle of success. Whatever your industry is, you're the best, you make the most money, and that's the highest level of success and fulfillment that you could ever experience. But after they studied it more, they discovered it's actually there's another level higher, transcendence, where you have this deep sense of fulfillment and purpose, knowing your life has made a difference. And I think when you're in the Marine Corps, it gives you an aspect of that because you feel connected, or not just the Marine Corps, military in general.
Oh, yeah.
You feel connected. You're part of something bigger. You're part of a team that has a global mission that is making a difference in the world, and you can see a tangible result, especially if you go on deployments. Like, you can see the results of the work that you've done. And when you get into the civilian life, it's not easy to find that, because it's a rat race, man. It's you're trying to pay the bills, and you get caught up in you get caught up in everything that's happening in culture, social media, so many distractions and entertainment, and none of those things. It's so hard to find that sense of purpose. For me, I fully believe, man, that one of the greatest things about a local church is that you can come together with a group of people, and if it's functioning right, and it's operating in a healthy way, like our church, 600-700 people, man, we're involved with things happening in the Philippines, in Lithuania, and in Mexico, and around our community. And it's like, man, we're connected to something bigger than ourselves. And I think that's the way God made us, is like, he made us to go out and do something. He gave us a purpose so that our lives could make a difference. And if you're not connected to that, it's going to be like what you're describing. You're going to feel like lost, like, I've lost my purpose. I've lost that sense of meaning. And so it's hard to find it back. It's hard to find something that you can get that back with, man.
Yeah, I can perfectly put.
Sorry, Nick.
No, go ahead.
So I was raised very religious, grandma spanking our ass on Sunday morning, like, get your, comb your hair, and,
I've been there.
Yeah. And, I'm not religious anymore. I will say I am spiritual. I do believe in something. I don't know exactly what it is.
We can talk more if you want, bro. No, I'm joking.
Yeah. I'm gonna get your information. We'll have some talks. But so I lost my wife on Christmas Eve 2021. Or
I'm sorry,
2022,
man.
I'm sorry. Yeah, and like that really like threw a wrench in the gears for me too. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, pardon my language.
No, you're good.
I'm 30. I'm 36. She was 36.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, all right. So what's the plan, big guy? What the hell?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but yeah, me and you will definitely be talking. Like, I think it'd be good. I don't need to put all that out on here right now.
No, that's fine. I think it's very relevant, because I think a lot of guys that have been in your shoes or gone through similar situations, like Nick and I, like, that's what I'm saying. These things start happening in life, and you don't have the same support system. Things don't make sense like they used to make sense. And when you take a blow like that, well, first of all, Doc, I can't imagine something like that. I'm very, it makes me sad to learn that about you, but I'm glad that you're here, man.
Definitely.
Like, the fact that you're even jumping on, and like, I've enjoyed talking to you and getting to know you, but like you're still here. You're still plugging away, man.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, like, going through those kinds of painful situations, looking for the ways, I guess, to grow, or I don't want to say grow. It's like almost looking for the ways to learn in those situations. And I know for me, it's been the times of my life with great pain and like regret that the biggest growth has happened to me personally, like whether it's mentally or spiritually or emotionally. It's like that creates an opportunity for growth.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
I think if you have that mentality, man, like if you have that mentality of no matter what comes my way, I'm just gonna get back up. I'm gonna learn through it, and it's not easy, dude. Like, there's still times I face situations where I'm like, man, like if something happens for me at work, the context is I work for a church, I'm a pastor, but guess what, man? Like, it still sometimes sucks to work with people. And if any of my church people are watching this, I love you. But sometimes it's hard dealing with people, sometimes it's just things don't go the way that you thought they were going to go. And you have those moments where it's just like, man, I just want to quit. I want to leave it all behind, or I want this. I wish this would have happened. But it's the consistency in just tackling those feelings, tackling those problems, and just looking at opportunities for growth, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I think
Yeah.
honestly, that's a great place to put a bookmark in for today. We're running out of time, man. But Kilgore, I gotta say, this has been an awesome conversation. I'm psyched to see that you're doing so well, man. The thing is, I know where you come from, and I know how
Yeah,
hard it
dude.
was, and I know going through something like that, it's not even the physical, it's the mental. It's
Yeah.
really taking that. It's the thing is when you get out, you finally have that time to look at yourself, which is scary because we're some
Yeah.
scary
Yeah.
individuals, man. When you really get
Yeah.
into what makes us tick, dude, it's hard. It's really hard to self-reflect and to slow down and to take apart the pieces and be like, okay, this is where I was wrong here and wrong here. And to just honestly look in the mirror and be real with yourself. It's not an easy thing to do, man. And it's a process. And I know how hard that can be because I'm going through it right now. And I gotta
Yeah.
say, I'm psyched to see you're in such positive spirits. And we got to do this more, man.
Yeah, for
I feel
sure, bro.
shitty because we've kind of haven't stayed in touch like I hope we would, but this
Yeah.
is the start of it right here, man. I'd like to have you on
Yeah,
the
dude.
podcast more. I'd like to have you
Absolutely.
actually interview people with me because you have a great
Cool,
mindset
man.
and you're very well versed in these things. So once again,
I'd love
thank you for
that.
taking
Yeah.
the time and joining us today. I love you, brother. And
Yeah.
Thanks,
Doc,
man.
you want to
Hey,
give me
real quick, Bo, I'm gonna get your contact info from Nick, and I'm gonna hit you up.
100%, dude. Yeah, I'll send you my cell number and everything too, man.
Roger
I
that?
really appreciate you having me on. I've enjoyed just talking. I mean, I love the veteran community. I have a little veteran community of guys that I rely on, and I mean, it's everybody from Vietnam vets to like we keep in touch with guys that are in right now. I was texting with the guy the other day that's fresh in stationed over
Oh
in
yeah,
California. So I love the veteran community, and I think it's important for things like this. I'm glad you're doing this because, you know, generation before us, they had the VFW and everything. Our generation's a little different,
yep,
but it's this kind of community doing things like this that keep us connected.
absolutely.
Hearing people's stories can encourage us. And so, any guys out there that however long you've been out, doesn't matter if it's 10 years, 20 years, or 2 seconds. Like there is a community of people that understand
Absolutely.
you, and that will just come alongside you, walk alongside you. Yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yep. Yep.
Well, there you have it, gents.
yeah,
Episode 53, Hard to Kill with Bo
yeah, dude.
Kilgore. Great to have you, brother. Semper Fi,
I'm
Deli.
hard to kill, bro. I'm hard to kill.
Have a good night, gents. Semper
You
Fi.
too, man. Thanks.
You
Simplify.
brother. Right.